This message is going to be a message about a part of my testimony, about a part of how I used to be when I was in the world before I became a Christian. I want to share with you guys about how I used to be a high-class escort and how I came to be in that industry and found myself stuck in that industry for about 10 years. It took me quite a while to decide whether or not I should share this, but quite frankly, it doesn't bother me. I'm going to decide to share it anyway because I know that there are a number of girls, boys, whoever you are, that are stuck in that industry, feeling like you have no way out, feeling like it's the only thing that you can do for a living. So let me open up and share briefly about my background, where I came from. I was born into a family. I'm the oldest. I did grow up in a dysfunctional and toxic family. I did endure physical and emotional abuse. And eventually it did take its toll on me, because when I got to high school, I also started to endure emotional abuse from other students. And unfortunately, because I didn't know God, because I didn't know anything about guarding my mind, guarding my heart, choosing and deciding what I'm going to allow to come into my heart, I accepted the lies that were telling me that there is something deeply wrong with you, that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy, that you need to become another person in order for other people to accept you. And these messages got so deeply ingrained in my mind that I completely disconnected from who God created me to be. I disconnected from my true self, and I went down a path of becoming another person entirely. I became whoever people wanted me to be in order to be liked, in order to be accepted. I felt so unworthy. I felt so ugly. I felt as though I didn't have any worth, and I was always seeking for validation. And sure enough, when I was 14, I ended up dating one of the popular guys in high school, and I thought it was cool, but I know deep down I didn't truly like him. But because I felt so bad about myself, because I believed that I was ugly and there was something wrong with me, I just dated him anyway because I thought it would make me look cool. Long story short, he was the first person that I lost my virginity to, and it didn't feel good. In the world, they tell us and make it so normal that sex, casual sex, is great. Lust is great. But is it really? How do you feel after sleeping with someone that you know doesn't really like you back, that you know they don't really care about you, that they are just using you? So it was from that time of such a young age that I also began to get into partying, that I would like to go out to different parties and drink and get drunk. And I would also try to be perfect. I would try to make my hair look perfect. I would try to put makeup on in order to cover up how I was feeling inside. By the time I graduated high school, I had such a bad self-concept. I struggled with high levels of anxiety, dissociation, and I just didn't feel comfortable with who I truly was. I was always trying to escape that person. I was always trying to run away from my true self. So how I came to end up in escorting was around the time where I met my first true love, my first boyfriend. We moved in together. But because I was so damaged, so broken, believing the lies about myself, that I was unworthy, not good enough, something wrong with me, that I was ugly, it didn't end up working out with that boyfriend. And around that same time, I also found myself becoming addicted to alcohol and drugs. And I thought this was great. It made me feel better. It helped me to be comfortable, to be social with people. But I also had another problem. Drugs and alcohol also costed money. And that is also when I began to sign myself up onto adult websites. And it was through these websites that I started to learn about sugar daddies and being able to sell your photos for someone to pay you for your photos. And that's how it started for me. I started to take nude photos of myself in bikinis, and I would actually sell these photos to these guys. And then from that point onwards, the very first time that I decided to meet with my first client, it was also on that day that I feel as though I completely sold my soul. He was someone who was perhaps in his 40s, and I was about 18 years old. He came into my house in the lounge room, gave me the money, and from that moment onwards, I did what I said I was going to deliver to do. And afterwards, I just felt as though I had sold a part of my soul, just different. I was really happy about the money that I made. Yes, I could pay for my addiction. Yes, I could afford to pay for my rent, because at that time I also was not very good at saving money. I would always be spending it, always having to use money to go out seeking those pleasures that I thought was gonna make me feel better. So that would be the start of my journey as an escort. I started to live a double life. I started to make advertisements of myself. I went to take professional photos of myself, posted myself on fancy websites, high-class escort websites. But little did I know at that time, the gifts and the talents that God gives us, the enemy actually uses these gifts and twists them so they can be used for the purposes of his kingdom. So I was very good at marketing. I was very good at entrepreneurship, but I used these gifts in a twisted and perverted way. I used those gifts to dupe men to essentially be paid for selling my body. I did live the high life. I went on tours around Australia. I have even been to Europe. But you know what? Every time I actually went through with doing this, a piece of my spirit would just die. I would always feel drained emotionally. I would always be dissociating in my mind as I was doing these jobs. So yes, I had, if you would call it, a glamorous lifestyle. I had the money that I wanted. I was getting the attention and approval that I wanted. I got to go around different cities in my country. I got to go to Europe. I always had the money that I needed to pay rent, to pay for anything that I wanted whenever I wanted. But I want to share with you the cost of that. And was it really worth it? Yes, it's great to have money. Yes, it's great to have money freedom. But it's not great at the expense of your soul. It is not great to give yourself away to these men, to these women, and essentially giving yourself as an object to be used. Attention doesn't last. Money doesn't last. I was led by greed. I was led by the desire to have power over men. Long story short, I felt trapped in this industry. I felt like I didn't have a way out. I would always have thoughts coming to my mind, just one more time. You need this money to pay for that. Come on, Jessica, let's do it one more time. And then we'll have enough money to go on a holiday. And it just got to the point where I was just addicted to the money. I was essentially draining my soul, losing my soul in order to gain this wealth, in order to gain power, in order to give myself a false sense of confidence, a false sense of self-esteem. But let me tell you something, it is not worth it. Whatever thoughts that go through your mind telling you that you need to do this, that you're stuck, that you can't do anything else for a job, that you're not good enough, that it's all you can do in life. I'm here to tell you today, you are better than that. You are valuable. It takes talent, it takes skill and gifts to do what you do. And you know what? Those gifts and talents can be used for another purpose, for something else. You've just got to think of what to do. But don't give your body away to people that you know are using you as an object. It doesn't feel good to allow yourself to be treated that way. You are not stuck. You can come out of that. God has a better plan for you. He's got a better plan for your life. You may have been born into a bad family. You may have been bullied. You may have been called a bunch of names. And unfortunately, those are the lies that you are now believing about yourself. But they are just lies. It's not the truth about who you are. That is not your destiny. That is not where you're going to end up. There is hope for you. You can come out of that industry, whether it's stripping, whether it's escorting, whether it's massaging. You're better than that. You're worth more than that. So back into my testimony. I believe Jesus was leading me out of that lifestyle slowly by slowly. I started to really feel like what I was doing was wrong, and it was leading me to spiritual death. But just know that you don't need to feel ashamed about what you're doing. You don't need to feel bad about where you're at right now. I just want you to consider, how did you get there? What are you believing about yourself? Who made you feel so unworthy, so bad about yourself that you feel that you need to do this for work? There is hope for you. If Jesus could pull me out of that lifestyle, if he had a plan for my life, he's got a plan for your life. He's got a future and a hope for your life. The life that he has for you is an abundant life. He thinks good thoughts towards you, and they are thoughts to give you a future and a hope. Jesus wants you to be with someone who doesn't use you, someone who loves you unconditionally. He wants you to see yourself the way he sees you. You're worth more than that, and you can come out of it. I also am a coach, and I also help people to come out of situations, to overcome obstacles, to help get you back on the right path. If you need coaching, if you need someone to help you to come out of that, someone who is going to speak life into you, someone who is going to help to believe in you when no one else does, you can find my contact details below this video.